The genius of good enough. Sounds a little weird, right? How can good enough be genius? Well, today we're going to dig into this really cool idea from way back in the 1940s. An idea that, believe it or not, is the secret sauce behind some of the smartest AI you use every single day. It's all about how sometimes good enough isn't just good enough, it's actually better than perfect.
Okay, so think about this for a second. You snap a photo and bam, your phone instantly puts little boxes around everyone's faces. How does it do that so fast? I mean, seriously, have you ever really thought about it? It's not like it's scanning every single pixel, looking for an eye here and nose there. That would take forever, right?
The secret isn't just throwing more and more processing power at the problem. Nope, it's actually a super clever shortcut. It's a way for the machine to basically say, okay, I've seen enough, I'm confident enough to make a call, and then just move on.
So to really get how this works, we need to take a little trip back in time. We're going to a factory, and the year is somewhere in the 1940s, right in the middle of World War II.
All right, picture this. You're working as a quality control inspector. A massive crate with like 10,000 little metal parts, spindles, just landed on your desk. Your job is to decide if this entire batch is good to go or if it's junk. Now, obviously, you can't check every single one. That's just impossible. So what do? What's the plan?
While the old school way of doing this was something called a fixed sampling plan, it's pretty straightforward. You'd say, okay, I'm going to test a sample of, 300 of these things. And you would have to test all 300 no matter what. Only after you've checked every single one in your sample can you make a decision on the whole batch. I mean, it works, but man, is it slow and wasteful.
But then someone had a much smarter idea, the sequential sampling plan. Now this is a game changer. Instead of committing to testing 300 parts, you just test them one by one, and you stop the second you have enough evidence. So let's say the first 5 you pull out are absolutely perfect, you might just say, good enough, accept the whole batch. Or if the first 5 are all total duds, you can say, nope, reject it, and you're done. You see the difference?
I mean, the difference is just night and day. The fixed plan is all about collecting all your data first and only then making a decision at the very end. But the sequential plan? It's constantly asking itself, do I know enough yet? Can I stop now? This makes it so much faster, so much more efficient. You're only collecting just enough data to get the job done.
Okay, so this whole idea of good enough decision-making is brilliant for factories, but it didn't stay there. Someone saw this and realized, wait a minute, we can use this for computers. And that someone was a real pioneer in the field of machine intelligence. That pioneer was a man named Professor King-Sun Fu. And when we talk about the field of pattern recognition, his name is legendary. I mean, look at this quote. People in the field say that basically no one deserves more credit for founding the whole darn thing. He wasn't just doing groundbreaking research. He was building the entire community from the ground up.
So, one of Professor Fu's biggest contributions was this idea he called sequential pattern recognition. Now, pattern recognition is just a fancy way of saying we're teaching a computer to spot meaningful things in data, like finding a face in a picture. And this is where Fu had his light bulb moment. He realized that a computer trying to find a pattern has the exact same problem as that factory inspector. At what point do you have enough clues to be sure you found what you're looking for?
And you can really get a sense of his work from letters like this one. This is a typed letter from 1980. You can see he's constantly on the move, organizing talks, traveling, sharing these new ideas. He was literally building this field, one conference, one conversation at a time.
And I love this handwritten note. It just goes to show, this wasn't just about abstract theories and machines. It was about a community. It was about real people who were just genuinely excited and passionate about tackling these incredibly complex new problems together.
Okay, so Professor Fu made this incredible connection between factory quality control and machine learning. That's the what. But what about the how? What's the actual engine that lets a machine know when to stop looking and just make a decision? Well, the answer comes from a surprisingly simple but incredibly powerful statistical tool.
The method that Fu adapted is called the Sequential Probability Ratio Test. Yeah, it's a mouthful, so let's just call it the SPRT. And here's the kicker. It was developed way back in the 1940s by a statistician named Abraham Wald. And guess what for? For the exact same factory quality control problem we were just talking about. It's the perfect tool for the job.
This graph basically shows you how it works. That squiggly line in the middle, that's our evidence building up over time. With each new piece of information that comes in, that line moves up or down. If it crosses into that top boundary, the reject zone, boom, game over. The system rejects the idea. If it dips down and hits that bottom boundary, the accept zone, Great, we accept it. But as long as it stays in that big middle channel, the system just says, not sure yet, keep sampling. It's like a race to one of the finish lines.
So the whole process is really just a simple loop. Step 1, take a measurement. Step 2, run the numbers and see where you land on that chart. Are you in the accept zone, the reject zone, or the keep going zone? If you've hit one of the decision zones, you're done. You stop. If not, you just loop right back to step 1 and grab another piece of data. Simple as that.
In this elegant, super efficient loop, an idea that started with checking boring old machine parts is now, believe it or not, at the very heart of so much of the technology we rely on every single day.
Which brings us all the way back to your phone and finding faces in a photo. So what's actually happening? Your phone's algorithm is rapidly scanning tiny little windows of the picture. For each little window, it's running one of these quick, sequential tests. If a spot is clearly just a wall or a tree, it gets rejected instantly. Nope, not a face. If it has some features of a face, the algorithm says, keep looking. It keeps gathering evidence just for that spot until it has just enough to confidently say, yep, that's a face, or false alarm. And that's why it feels instantaneous.
But this idea goes way beyond just face detection. I mean, it's everywhere, and sometimes in really high-stakes situations. Think about clinical trials for a new medicine. Researchers use this exact same sequential analysis. They monitor the results as they come in, one patient at a time. If the drug is working miracles, or God forbid if it's actually causing harm, they don't have to wait years for the trial to officially end. They can stop the trial early based on the evidence they have. We're talking about something that saves time, saves money, and literally saves lives. And you see the same logic in biometric security, quality control on assembly lines, even pulling faint signals from deep space.
So when you boil it all down, the big lesson here is pretty profound. The fastest way to get a good answer isn't always to get all the information possible. It's about figuring out the exact moment you have enough information. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What problems in your own life could you solve faster and more efficiently, not by chasing this idea of a perfect, complete answer, but by just asking, is this enough?